iHeart, get ready. Fantasy football is here. Welcome to the Scout Fantasy Show. ScoutFantasy.com is home to the Fantasy Football World Championships and the best players in the world. Real money winners giving their secrets to help you win. Now exclusively on iHeart. This is the Scout Fantasy Show with your host, the one, the only, Dr. Roto.
Hey everybody, it's Dr. Roto. Get out the insurance cards, get out the copay. The office is open, my friends. All right, let's get to last night's game. Amazing how Vegas can nail the point spreads. At the end of the game, changed the outcome for many people who were playing the game. And maybe you won, maybe you didn't. But the Falcons won 23-20. I think the under was a very good bet in this game. The Giants, 54 points or something like that. I think that's what it was. The Giants never scored that many points. So Matty Ryan, 31 for 39. Seriously, that's pretty good stuff there. 379 yards, only one touchdown. Julio Jones once again catches 9 passes but doesn't score. Marvin Hall scores. I don't even know who Marvin Hall is, by the way. But everybody else, Tevin Coleman, Ito Smith, Ridley, Hooper, everybody did their job. Everybody played well. Nobody was outstanding. Tevin Coleman had a good run late in the game. But at that point, I don't think anybody outside of Julio Jones was special fantasy-wise. For the Giants, Eli was 27 for 38 for 399 yards. 399 yards and a touchdown. Saquon Barkley had 9 receptions on 10 targets. Beckham was 8 for 143. Shepard was 5 for 167. They were terrific. I wish that Evan Engram had gotten more involved. I was sad to see that. And Barkley just could not find any room to run. So the Giants are 1-6, and it just doesn't look good because there's one major thing that's happening here. And don't say they suck, because they do, but there's no offensive line. You know, you want Eli to throw the ball down the field. You're dying for Eli to throw the ball down the field. But how can you throw the ball down the field when there's no time to throw the football? It's as simple as that. How can you ask him for something that is impossible to do? So I want to talk about yesterday's big trade. So the Dallas Cowboys trade a first-round pick to the Oakland Raiders for Amari Cooper. So let's break this down for each team. First of all, the Raiders are going nowhere. They are terrible, and Jon Gruden is basically starting over. I think Jon Gruden got there and was like, oh my God, this is a train wreck. I got to get players who I trust and I like. Trust me when I tell you, Carr is the next one to go. He may not go now, but he's going in the offseason, and the Giants might be somebody to take him. I'm telling you that. Cooper is a very mercurial kind of player, because half the time it looks like he doesn't care. When they don't get him the football early in games, he disappears mentally. And then sometimes, even when he's there, he drops important passes. So he has been nothing but a disappointment, I would think, if I'm a Raider. I'd have to think that. So that the Raiders were able to get a first-round pick is as a score. Because in this time of year, when people give third-round picks and fourth-round picks and fifth-round picks, they got a first-round pick for Cooper. So good job for the Raiders for getting rid of a guy they didn't like and getting a first-round pick, and now they have 3 next year, so that's going to make them viable. Now, just because you have 3 first-round picks doesn't mean you know what to do with them. That's a problem. They may not know what to do with them, and trust me, I'm not trusting in Chucky right now. I don't know where he is on his understanding player development. But it's better than what they had. Now, if I'm Dallas, I think, made a couple of big mistakes here. First of all, hubris. You go into the year and you think you can win with Michael Gallup, Allen Hurns, Cole Beasley, and a box of balls? Come on. This is the NFL. Allen Hurns is not close to a number 1. He's like a number 3, maybe. Maybe, by the way. And that's stretching it. More like a 4. So now you admit your problems. I got rid of Dez, Witten retired, and now I got to get myself a number 1 receiver. So I probably overpay, right? Because Josh Gordon's going for, what, a 5th-round pick? And I overpay the Raiders, who say, look, I'm not giving you Cooper unless you give me a first-round pick. Now, do the Cowboys have to do it? Probably. The Cowboys are better than people think. That defense is really good, but they have no receivers. So bringing Cooper in gives Prescott a number 1 target. They're going to feed him the football. And now Michael Gallup can play against the opposing number 2 cornerback and make him better. Cole Beasley becomes better. Everybody becomes better because there's a legitimate number 1 receiver there. So really, it was a very aggressive and bold move by Jerry Jones, which I have no problem with. I just don't like giving up the first round pick. But let me say this. A lot of first round picks fail. They do. Cooper has been, I don't want to say a failure, but I'll say he's not very good. So is it a gamble? Absolutely. Is it a gamble I would have made? No, I don't think so. I would have gone other directions. I would have gone other directions than Amari Cooper. But this came up this morning with a friend of mine. Fantasy owners know how bad Amari Cooper's been. We understand how overrated he is. It's amazing that NFL teams don't have fantasy guys in their front offices. In 2 seconds, if you said to me, Dr. Roto, would you trade a first-round pick for Amari Cooper? I go, are you nuts? No way. I go, maybe a third. And then they go, all right, thank you. That's what I give you because I know that's what he's worth. I don't think he's played at a first-round level. Now, if they came back to me and said, do you think he has a skill set that could play at a first-round level? I'd say maybe. I tend to doubt it, maybe a second-round level. I would have offered a second-round pick and see where that got me. Because at the end of the day, the Raiders didn't want to keep Cooper. Maybe they thought somebody would give him a first-round pick, but you knew they didn't want to keep this guy. This team's terrible. Marshawn Lynch is on the IR. Cooper's not there anymore. Who's Carr going to throw the ball to? Jordy Nelson, Seth Roberts, and Martavis Bryant? Yeesh. Seriously. Yeesh. That's what it's coming down to. That is not very good. You're not winning games. Throwing the ball to Jared Cook and then Jalen Richard. That's your team right now. That's terrible. All right. So I have a really good article that I want you guys to take a look at. It's on scoutfantasysports.com. And in this article, what I do is I give you a list of wide receivers that I want you to trade for because they have really good matchups at the end of the year. So remember, this is a critical time of your fantasy football season. Okay? It's a critical time, and I'm going to tell you why. Because right now, you can project what's going to happen in the playoffs because you kind of know the matchups now, right? We know the matchups right now for weeks 14, 15, and 16. And now that we've had 7 weeks, we understand better who the good defenses are and who the good defenses are not, right? So when I see certain guys and I'm like, wow, they played this team, and this team, these are guys I want to take advantage of. You need to set yourself up now for the long term. Now for the long term. This is the time you need to do it. Now gets you ready to compete in weeks 14, 15, and 16. I've said this before and I'll say this again. I'll take it back. The best team does not always win a fantasy football championship. In fact, more often than not, the best team does not win a fantasy football championship. The team with the best matchups wins a fantasy football championship. So do you have the guys in those 3 critical weeks? And I come back to the story about 3 or 4 years ago, my team was number 2 overall in the World Championship. Number 2 overall going into the playoff rounds. We had been putting up 160, 170 every week, killing it. We get in the playoffs. The first week we put up like 102, 103, maybe 108 points. We fell 50 or 60 points behind our competition. It was over. It was over. I think we finished 40 or 50. We didn't even finish in the money. We won our league, yes, but that was it. We dominated our league, but after that we were done. Why? Because we weren't prepared in those weeks. Now, am I happy that we dominated? Absolutely. Are we happy that I made 10K? Absolutely. But would I give up 10K for 50K? Absolutely. Because if I had the best, in another league, and I tell the story all the time, we were like 287 to 289 teams to make the playoffs. And then we had 3 amazing weeks and came in 6th overall. Boom. Because you have to be good those critical 3 weeks at the end of the year. Do your homework now. Which players have the best matchups? Which players can take you to the promised land? Now, are we going to be right all the time? Absolutely not. Will players get hurt between now and week 14? Yes. But never confuse the result with a decision. If you trade for a guy who has a great playoff matchup now and he gets hurt in week 10, did you do anything wrong? No. You did everything right. You made the right trade. You put yourself in a position to win. That's all I could ever ask from you. Put yourself in a position to win. And if you do that, good things will happen. Now, we're getting at a very critical time of year. We're getting at a very critical time of year. And waiver wire pickups, people have a lot of money. I still want you to be judicious with the money you spend, and we're going to talk about that tomorrow. Inevitably, somewhere between weeks 10 and 13, somebody emerges that you're going to want to pay for. Somebody will be out there, and I need you to have the money to pay for them. So when we talk about waiver wires tomorrow, I need you to still don't go crazy, because there's going to be a guy that you're going to want, and we're going to have to bid on him heavily, because once again, we need to prepare ourselves for that playoff run, weeks 14, 15, and 16. That's where it comes down to, right? You get into the playoffs, but if you lose in the first round, it wasn't a great year. It was okay, but it wasn't a great year. And if you want it to be great, your team has to have the right matchups heading into the last few weeks. All right, I'm very excited to see the potential for trades in the NFL. Will McCoy be traded? Will Le'Veon Bell be traded? Will Patrick Peterson be traded? Look, stay here with Scout Fantasy Sports. As soon as these trades go down, we try to get you the analysis, how it helps you, how we can spin it. You know, for example, Cooper leaves, bump up Jordy Nelson, bump up Jared Cook, bump up Martavis Bryant, bump up Seth Roberts, right? Knock down Allen Hurns, knock down Gallup a little bit. This is how it works. Ripple effects of trades. The ripple effects of trades, okay? But right now it's time to put away the insurance cards, put away the copay. The office is closed, my friends. I'm back tomorrow with Waiver Wire Wednesday. And of course, don't forget, go to scoutdfs.com. Scoutdfs.com. Our optimizer is lighting it up. Did you have Nurkic last night? If you did, you probably found him on the Scout Optimizer, because they loved Nurkic last night and he killed it. All right, this is Dr. And of course, did I say scoutfantasysports.com? You have me, you have Sean Childs, you have Adam Ronis. We're giving you the best information we can to help you win your fantasy football leagues. All right, guys, this is Dr. Roto saying be well and take care.
Thanks for listening to the Scout Fantasy Show. There's never been a better time to join the Scout Army. Visit scoutfantasy.com. Use the promo ROTO for 2 months free. And don't forget, fantasy players, please thumbs up the podcast on the iHeart app. See you next time. Go Scouts!